Welcome to the Make and Design podcast. I'm Karina Gardner, and today we're going to talk about how generative AI enhances creativity for the individual, but actually reduces idea diversification. Now, this article that I found about it was so fascinating. It comes from science.org. So if you want to look it up, just go to science.org and look up something along the lines of AI and idea diversity. So the basic line is that it shows that using AI to generate idea probes can actually boost perceived creativity of outputs, especially in individuals who feel like they are less creative. But it also reduces the variety of ideas produced. And this is already a fallacy in the design world, which is the first idea we have is the one we should use, and then we just go for it. So like, let's pretend I need to make a logo for a client, and I design a logo and I just go with the first idea. Well, we know this to not be a great thing based on what we teach in most graphic design foundation courses, which in ours is called Design Foundations on Fire. You do a thumbnail exercise and you find that almost everybody's stuff kind of looks the same in 1 through 20 thumbnails. But by the time you get to 50, 60 thumbnails, everybody's stuff looks different. So the best ideas are really created at the end, and it requires quite a bit of brain work to get to those end results. Like, you really have to push yourself pretty hard. Well, so this is an interesting idea, the idea that when we use AI, we generate ideas rather quickly, very fast. And so because we've had AI doing some of those ideas for us, we kind of just go with it. Instead of pushing our brains to think how else, we just go with the first initial idea. So I'm just going to read you a little bit about this so that you guys kind of understand what the findings were. So I'm just going to read you the abstract for it. So creativity is core to being human. Generative artificial intelligence, including powerful large language models, LLMs, holds promise for humans to be more creative by offering new ideas, or less creative by anchoring on generative AI ideas. We study the causal impact of generative AI ideas on the production of short stories in an online experience where some writers obtain story ideas from an LLM. We find that access to generative AI ideas causes stories to be evaluated as more creative, better written, and more enjoyable, especially among less creative writers. However, generative AI-enabled stories are more similar to each other than stories by humans alone. These results point to an increase in individual creativity at the risk of losing collective novelty. This dynamic resembles a social dilemma. With generative AI, writers are individually better off, but collectively, a narrower scope of novel content is produced. Our results have implications for researchers, policymakers, and practitioners interested in bolstering creativity. Now, I think by reading this, my hope is that your understanding of what is really going on here, that the individual feels like they get greater success, they feel better about it, they feel more creative in using AI to help them get started. But as a whole, and we have to think of our society as a whole, the storylines sound like they are narrower, less dynamic, and less creative as a whole, because of course, if we're starting out with AI, it's probably giving similar prompts, and as individuals, you're kind of using those prompts to move on. So that was kind of the gist of what I got from that. Now, how does that affect us as designers? We're already seeing this with generative AI models out there. People are using Firefly, Midjourney, even ChatGPT can make you a number of different slides or images already for you. And if you're a designer, one of the things you really should be paying attention to is, does everybody's stuff in corporate America, online, selling in certain categories, are they starting to look the same? Because if they are, AI might be the reason for that. And I'm not talking about things that are just fully AI generated, but I'm talking about design work that is moving in the direction of AI looking things where everything kind of looks systematic and looks kind of all the same. And so what my encouragement is going to be to you is not necessarily don't use AI. I think it's still a great starting point, but really play the game of, and now what with it? So if we create something in AI, some kind of image to start out with that we're not going to use, but we go, okay, this is a great start. This is kind of the look and feel I'm trying to go for. And then you go, and now what? Now you kind of push it to the next thumbnail image. We pull it to the next thumbnail image. I'm not talking about in AI. I mean, in your brain, as you're sketching it out, as you're figuring out what you need to do with that design work. And now what? And now what? Push yourself at least 10 times so that you're far enough away from the original image that you have brought creativity right back to the project. That's my suggestion for you. I think as we kind of watch AI and how it evolves for all of us and the way we rely on it, it's going to really become obvious who's continually using it and who's trying to think outside the norm. Because I have a feeling that those who are really using it only at the beginning and moving past it are going to have more creative, more interesting, more divergent ideas for our society. And so even starting without AI at all, which I think eventually will be very tempting for people it's going to be hard not to use AI, but it's such a interesting idea because then it's what you're coming up with has to be absolutely novel, right? Now, the problem is that we pull from all the things around us. And so if you're seeing AI everywhere, the images are all AI generated, then your stuff might look that way as well, which really actually gives us one more plug for the Artist Day, which Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist Way. The more that we consider doing things differently, going out and doing things that we've never done before, seeing cultures we've never been part of, enjoying a museum that we've never seen before, enjoying people we've never been around before, that those things will trigger creativity in our brain so that we can think anew about the life we're living, the design work we're creating, and the creativity that we're using. So just some food for thought here that hopefully helps you as you're kind of figuring out how to navigate these waters with AI. I think we all are at this time, and it's an interesting time in history for sure. And so what I'll say is don't be scared of it. Just be curious about it. Be curious about what it's doing for us. Be curious about how it might affect us. It's going to be interesting, but it doesn't mean it has to be all bad or all good. It's usually a mix of both. Want to hang out more? Go to DesignSuiteCourses.com/free to get our weekly freebies and patterns, die cut files, and more. Can't wait to see you there.